for free a week. But if you want to support the channel, there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast or video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications option. Hit the thanks button to buy a super sticker. You can do this on the live chat too. You can also join our Patreon page or buy us a coffee at the link in all of our video descriptions below. We are also looking for sponsors. If you want our latest advertising rates and how you can get involved, then email John at nufcmatters1892@gmail.com.
Critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. And it feels alright when they come and say to you, you're the only thing that makes us all believe. And it feels alright where the worlds collide. Manipulation stands to make us break. What's that you said coming over you? You wish it upon a star. You wish it on a star. You are, you are, you are. To fight back, it's an all-out attack. It feels like I've been taken on the world's machine. Because I want it more than anyone can dream. You look back and it's all in the past. You tell me how you live by all the things you do. Well, you can be yourself, but maybe I'm not you. And it feels alright when they come and say to you, you're the only thing that makes us all.
Good afternoon, welcome to NUFC Matters for a live talk at a Toon with me, Sid, and Rob joining us a little bit later. How are you, Sid?
I'm good, mate. Yourself?
Very good, mate. Very good. Plenty to talk about, of course.
Hello to everybody out there.
Yeah, I'm seeing plenty to talk about as far as Newcastle United's concerned, as always. And let's start with the Arsenal win, first of all.
Yeah.
Sid, not spoken since then. Comprehensive. I don't know what the hell we're all worried about. And we're back in the Carabao Cup final.
I was even panicking at 4-0. I think it was because you just expect things to go bad, don't you? I think it's years of being flipping hit over the head as a Newcastle fan. But no, we were, as you say, comprehensive is the word. We were so much the better team. Yes, I watched it back the other day. I didn't realize how much possession they had, but they did nothing with it. They did absolutely nothing with it. There's a couple of minor chances. I thought Dubravka pulled off a very good save at one point, and maybe they should have scored, absolutely, when Odegaard was through. But, to be fair, people harp on about it, but I didn't think the Isak goal was offside. And I've looked at the American line because it was shown in America, and their line, he was onside. So, and it's noticeably not being repeated again. I'm adamant. You can't be offside with your arm.
Yeah.
And they were trying to indicate it was below the sleeve. So I don't get that at all. I don't get it. I thought it was a good goal. And bizarrely, the Murphy goal looked offside to me because he was in an offside position when the ball was first passed forward. They went down, hit the shot, hit the ball, and then it came out. Murphy scored. So technically speaking, he's still within that part of the play. Or am I wrong? Obviously, I probably am. But to me, that would have been therefore offside. So who knows what the offside rule is these days? I haven't got a clue. But we dominated it, deserved to win as far as I'm concerned. I want to put a statement out for Eddie Howe. It was absolutely fantastic. 5 at the back. Nobody saw that in terms of it wasn't 5 at the back and let's hold on. It was 5 at the back and be controlled. and hit them on the counter attack when we needed to, and it wasn't, as I say, it wasn't just sitting back. I thought they played very, very, very well. That was a tremendous performance. And listening to some of the Arsenal whining on afterwards. So, some of them were really, absolutely spot on. Oh, well done, Newcastle, better team, this, that, and the other. But you still had others going, oh, if we'd scored that goal, there would have been, bricking it and all the rest of it, and it would have been a different game. But you didn't. You got beat 4-0. What more do you want, It's it is very, as you go back to your statement again, it was comprehensive. So, we were absolutely sensational. Some top-notch performances. The midfield were brilliant. Bruno and Tonali. I mean, Tonali, he's like the Scarlet Pimpernel. He's everywhere. He's just literally here, there, everywhere. He's just an incredible performer. I thought Bruno had a good game. I thought Isak was magnificent. I mean, Murphy, bizarrely, didn't do much in terms of attack, but his defensive work was brilliant. I have to say that, And his goal is not being spoken about enough. It was a really hard angle. It was a really tough angle to slot in. Noticeably again, of course, he hit the post. Hit the post to go in. He must have the world record for the amount of times of hitting the ball. But it was fabulous goal. Gordon, weird. I was at the match, and it's interesting how you see it differently compared to the TV, because I was moaning for the first half with regards to Gordon's touch. I don't think he's got a great first touch. I have to say, if he improved that, he would improve significantly as a player, and he's a super player already. That's the one area I think he needs to work on, that and his finishing, and he could then be a world-class player. But at the minute, his first touches, sometimes it bounces off him a little bit. And he kept giving the ball away. I was thinking, I thought he had a nightmare at the first half when I was watching it. And then you watch it back on the TV and he played really well. So it's like, who am I to sort of comment, But there was some stellar performances. I thought Botman was fantastic. And I know I dug him out a bit last week, but praise when it's due. I thought he was tremendous. I loved the way that Havertz was trying to go through, and Botman just literally held him off. Wouldn't let him round him. It reminded me of Jaap Stam, who I think is probably the best centre-half I've seen in the Premier League. And he just held him off, and he couldn't get round him, and he just barged him out the way and let the ball roll out. I thought that's proper centre-half defending. That was really, really good. So I thought we were tremendous, all right across the pitch. And, of course, Isak, they were terrified of him, absolutely terrified of him. I mean, their two centre-halves are lauded as the best pairing in the Premier League, and therefore you could argue probably the best pairing in the whole of Europe. And he's got them on toast. They were just bricking it. I mean, Gordon had them, Murphy had them. They were just really, really scared of our front three. And well done to the boys. It was a sublime performance. Bearing in mind, Big Joe wasn't playing as well. So bringing in the extra centre, the extra defender was just superb management. Great performance all around by every single player. Trippier again, magnificent as well. He might have been man of the match. I'm not sure. It's hard to gauge who your man of the match was. I just thought it was such a great performance all around. But yeah, fabulous. Well done to everybody. So super performance. Again, what's really galling is their manager not having the decency to come out after the game and say the better team won overall over the two legs. Just didn't have it in him. If that was Pep Guardiola, he would have come out and just said, well done, Newcastle. Good luck, hope you win the final, and that sort of thing, but he just didn't have it in him. I just think that's things like that stink a little bit, but that's just him, isn't it,
Yeah, a special mention for the crowd as well, Sid. I mean, it did frustrate me slightly, though, that we play games like we do against Fulham at home, and get beaten. And the atmosphere is as flat as a proverbial fart. And then, you get a match like Arsenal where people are saying, right, we've got to be up for this. We've got to be the third man, and everyone gets up for it. That's not the way it really should work. But unfortunately, that's the way it works in modern day football.
I absolutely agree. That's exactly the way it works in modern day football. Yeah. What can you do about it? Nothing. I mean, I certainly don't want to see all these firework displays before games and, getting the bands out and doing song and dance routines and all the rest of it. It's because I don't think that works. It's fake, isn't it? You want to. And to be fair, the fans do get up for the big games. That's just the way. It's just the way nature of the beast. Unfortunately. I don't think
how did you feel at full time? Because I remember the feeling at the end of the at the end of the first semi-final that got us into the Carabao Cup final a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
It was emotional. I didn't feel emotional at the end of this one.
No, nowhere near the same. Because the last time round, I was overjoyed when we beat Southampton, and it was like, that was probably the loudest crowd, the Southampton game. It was louder than PSG from where I was sitting, and I know others might say otherwise. Since the Barcelona game, which is the loudest I've ever heard the ground, to be fair, was Barcelona. But I thought it was brilliant, the Southampton atmosphere. The atmosphere was excellent the other day as well, I have to say. Really, really great. But I didn't, because I think we've now come to the point where we shouldn't be just delighted to get there. We should be expecting to go and win. And yes, it's up against the best team in Europe, so let's not pretend otherwise. And we've got an appalling record against, ironically, probably the worst record that we've got against any team. However, those records are there to be broken. And this is a season where we've been breaking those records. So I don't see why we can't go on and win it. But it's been, I didn't have, you're right. I didn't have that feeling. I remember going back to the pub, meeting the lads afterwards, going, get in, and all the rest of it. And we're all buzzing and hoping that we'll get tickets when they come out this week. But it's more. I think it's been tempered, as I say now, because we've all done it there, and I'm pleased. I'm one of the few who's pleased that Trafalgar Square's not open the day before, because I want the fans not to be so hungover that I thought the atmosphere was flat at the cup final. Okay, I don't know what other people think about it, but I thought it was flat, and that's because they spent all their energy the night before having a few drinks, partying, singing and dancing, and by the time everyone got the match, they were just gone. It was almost almost a bit like having a really great Christmas Eve, and on Christmas Day you're a bit knackered and you can't be bothered, and it was a bit like that. And I would prefer it the other way around. So I want them to be a bit more of a quieter Saturday, and then let's go and sort of create some noise on the Sunday, because Liverpool it'll not be like last year where Liverpool put out the C team. It's going to be the A team, isn't it? You know, including Mr. T. So they'll be putting all the squad out. You know. So I mean, So that's the way to look at it. And let's be fair, Liverpool fans can be pretty raucous as well. So it's going to be like the 74 Cup final, where it's a battle between the fans vocally as well. Okay, obviously not physically, but vocally. So where we're going to try and sort of outsing them. And let's do it. Let's do it.
Look, just a couple of comments about the atmospheres. Yeah, I would agree with you, Barcelona, but Joppadoni, I would agree as well. Shearer's testimonial was unreal.
Yeah,
you probably got to chuck the Man United 5-0 in there as well, because that was just such an unexpected result.
I would chuck in the Peter Biazzi testimonial when Kevin Keegan came on. That moment was incredible. The noise was just unreal at that moment. Andy
Cole breaking Hughie Gallagher's record as well.
Yeah. Magnificent. I mean, there's
been Shearer beating Melbourne's record again. There's been a few.
There's been a few. Leicester 7-1 when we went up. That was magnificent.
Brighton 3-1. Of course, 83-84. Keegan's farewell.
His chip was just magic. I was parallel to the chip, stuck behind a bloody fence, holding onto the fence, looking through it. Disgraceful days when you think it's disgraceful when you think about it, isn't it? You know, being
kids in like animals.
Terrible.
Yeah. So moving on to the FA Cup, Newcastle, of course, it was a proper cup tie at the weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, Birmingham, we knew Newcastle would make changes, and so they did. Big changes as well. And some of those people took that chance. I mean, you've got to keep your feet on the ground. It's a League One team, but it's a League One team that will 100% be in the Championship next season. They are going great guns, and they've got a few decent little players as well. Some which might be worth looking at for maybe even Newcastle, But anyway, the performance was there from Newcastle. They fought tooth and nail, and they deserved to go through.
Yeah, I thought so. Second half was really the turning point, wasn't it? I mean, they're a good team. The atmosphere was raucous, wasn't it? I mean, it was proper. It was bouncing. I spoke to somebody who'd been there, and he said it was as good as the Newcastle atmosphere on the Tuesday, Wednesday against Arsenal. So I mean, just sublime. It was a great atmosphere. Fair dues to Birmingham. They played really, really well. You don't try not to sound patronising either. but they played really, really well and it deserved to be level, I have to say, at half time. I thought there were some tremendous performances in that first half. I thought Willisula was superb. I thought he absolutely faded in the second half in the middle. So that to me tells you he's more, and I know I'm going off one performance here, so, take it with a huge bucket of salt. But he looked like a right winger or a right-sided attacker. That looks like it's his position, doesn't it? He's blisteringly quick.
Yeah.
He's really, really strong. He's got everything to go. He's got everything to become a top player. He needs to work on his game, of course. He's obviously rough around the edges in terms of trying to take on too many men at times. But he's got everything that you want to see in a player. And a blistering pace always wins, like in terms of having an advantage. So he looked magic. I mean, he got fouled 6 times, which is some going. So I was very impressed with him. I thought Willock was tremendous, was man of the match for me. It was his best performance in ages. Yeah, all right, he was played against Birmingham City. But I tell you what, he looked great on the left. And that might well be his other position, his left-sided attacker. Because you and I both said we see him as an attacker rather than a midfielder. And his finishing was excellent. I mean, he should have had a hat-trick, really. He was unlucky not to have the hat-trick. I mean, there was one when it was going in and it hit Sula, didn't it? It was actually going in, so he was unlucky, very unlucky not to get 3. I mean, don't get us wrong. I don't think the first one went over the line. I mean, I don't know how they can give that. It was very, very fortunate. Me and my mates were arguing back and forth on WhatsApp, and I was saying it was not a goal, and they were all tanked up, I reckon, in the pub, giving it was definitely in. I said, it wasn't, man. But yeah, so yeah, I thought they were both tremendous. There were some really good performances, as I say. Nice to see Pope back in at a better second half. I thought he played not bad. He's kicking awful, but pulled off some great saves, actually, to be fair to him. And we know that's what he does. He's a great shot stopper and terrible with his feet. And it didn't disprove anything. Although he did one great kick that's led to a goal, which I'm not convinced he actually meant it. Who else played really well? I thought the defence was I thought Burnett was obviously very poor, but then it turned out he was injured. So that's a real drawback, I think, Kraft was magnificent, I have to say. Some of them long passes he was whipping out were brilliant. So he's put himself definitely in there, hasn't he, as a shout to start. I thought he was superb. So, yeah, there's some good performance. I thought midfield first half was weak. I thought all 3 of them were not great. Bruno looked tired. Unfortunately, Sean didn't do himself any sort of justice at all. And I thought Miley didn't play very well, if I'm being perfectly honest. I know he looks a player and that, but he didn't do anything. And they both got skinned for pace at one point when their winger flew down the wing and just walked past the pair of them, and they couldn't keep up with him. But second half, the whole game changed when Tonali came on, and he was just like the Fonz. He was just so cool and in control. It was unbelievable. Hey, he is, isn't he? He's just like, he's just so cool. He's just everywhere. And apparently a couple of the Birmingham fans have after said he's the best player that they've seen at their ground. That's some praise. That's some praise. I mean, he was sublime. He was just everything you want in a footballer. He's got everything. The lad's got everything. I mean, a super, super performance. I thought Murphy came on and did really, really well. So yeah, overall delighted. I mean, there were some terrible challenges there's some terrible challenges in the game. Some terrible challenges. I mean, how it ended up with 11 against 11 at the end, I will never understand. I thought they could have had maybe 1 or 2 men sent off all day long. But I mean, again, that probably applies to Arsenal as well. The Declan Rice challenge on Bruno was an absolute scandalous challenge, and he didn't even get booked for it. That referee is terrible, the Arsenal one. We had him earlier on the season, and he was awful then. He's a terrible referee. But sorry, I know I've digressed, but my God, that was a terrible challenge. And how we didn't get a yet. I'm just amazed. The quality of the referee in this country is so poor, so poor. But yeah, delighted with the result overall. I thought we edged it. A 3-2 was a fair result. And I don't think the Birmingham fans can complain either. They will, obviously, with regards to the goal that wasn't. But we still edged it. So there we go. Good performance.
And what did you make of the cup draw? Brighton at home.
We've got the hardest draw. When you look at it, us on Man United have got the 2 hardest draws. Man United at home again. How many times do they get a home draw? It's remarkable. They must have about something like 16 or 17 out of 18 games at home. And then they've got people on their site moaning about Man City's draw. It's a tough game. They beat well the last time, so that we won't go in with complacently. Again, it looks like we're going to have to beat everybody to get we're going to have to beat some of the top teams, I suspect, to get to the final. None of the top teams were drawn against each other. So Villa avoided everybody. City avoided everybody. I expect Fulham to beat Manchester United. I'll have to see. I'll be surprised if it doesn't go that way at Old Trafford. I would expect Fulham to win. And so I make us joint favourites to win the cup. You've got Villa and you've got Man City. There's nobody to fear. And on our day, we can beat all of them, home or away, as far as I'm concerned. And it's a big if here, if we have the whole team fit. So that's the little caveat at the end there. It's all about being fit.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Brighton, of course, conjures up all kinds of memories, including Trelford Mills, for those of you
Yes, I was at that game.
A certain age category. Yeah, we'll all remember that referee who made it all about him.
Can I say, though, I think the quality of refereeing now is on a par with that, though. People might, it was disgraceful, but we've seen just as bad refereeing performances over the last year or two. So the quality of refereeing is just awful. It's just awful. Really, I mean, he was terrible, but it's just really, really bad. I can't understand how it's so bad, and I keep saying this. It's because, and I mentioned this the other week, my friend Mal, he refereed a couple of games. His young son's a referee, and he's 15, and he gets nothing but verbal abuse of parents on the side. And that's why we don't have referees, good quality referees, because parents turn up to the football matches and are absolutely disgraceful in terms of their attitude. They're living their lives through their children. And most of them think that they play like Maradona, whereas in reality they play more like Madonna, and that's for me, that's the main reason. That's the main reason. There should be greater penalties as well. And if it needs to be, just stop parents from going to these games, and it's not great. Obviously, I'm a parent myself, but if that's what it comes down to, that's what it has to be, it's stopping good young people wanting to become referees. It's stopping it, and it just stinks, I'm afraid. So there we go.
Yeah. Tickets, something we've managed to avoid on the show for a few months now, but the first day, of course, tomorrow, for those in pot 1 for the Carabao Cup. Which pot did you end up in?
I'm in pot 3. I had tickets for all the games, and I gave the Chelsea ticket away to my mate John because I went to see the Cult that night, and I was saying earlier on, ironically, the Cult were on so late, I watched virtually the whole game in the Bacchus. I could have went to the game and walked down to the concert. So I'm in pot 3 instead of pot 2. But I'm expecting to get a ticket, but whether I get a ticket with my friends is another issue. So we shall see.
Is there a fair way of doing this, Sid?
No, it's just the way it is. I mean, okay, people going, oh, well, I go to all the away games, or I've got this, no, I've got that. And, I could harp on and say, oh, but I bought the ticket and I transferred it. It's unfortunately the way it is. The one thing that really riles me is that a third of all the ticketing has gone to corporate. I think that absolutely stinks, both for Newcastle and Liverpool have both got huge fan bases, and it's grossly unfair. It really is. I don't mind if it's 10% goes to corporate. I can live with that, or even 15 at a push. But anything more than that, away. For people to pay like £1,500, £2,000, £3,000 for a ticket to a match where they probably don't go and watch Newcastle or Liverpool on a regular basis, and it's just to say they've been there and have a nice meal. I think, that doesn't sit well with me at all. I'm sorry. And they're also the last people to come back when the second half's kicked off, and there's always a big gap in the ground. No, it doesn't sit well at all. They could have given 40,000 tickets each. I think would have been a fair allocation to both sets of fans, and then 20,000 to corporate. And I would have said, okay, I can cope with that. That's sort of manageable. It's still not ideal, of course, but Yeah, I just think it's wrong. And no, there's no other way around it. If somebody can come up with an idea and say, oh, well, we could do this, but it all turns into mathematical equations. Well, you've got 60 points here, or you've got this, that, and the other. I think they've just done it by the fairer system of, did you go to all the games? You know, and if you went to some of the away games as well, then you're in pot 1. And if you went to all the games, you're in pot 2. And I think fair dues, you know. And I know it's unfortunate and it's not perfect by all means. And I've got sympathy for all those people who can't go. But yeah, that's unfortunately the way it works. Did I say $3.5 grand for a box there, or is it $3.5 grand a ticket?
Per person. Yeah, I mean, it's a chronicle story that's going around. I think I've seen, with regards to champagne being on tap and stuff like that. But the corporate areas are corporate areas, and at the end of the day, they can charge what they want, and people will pay it. There's always going to be somebody who will pay it.
On top. I'd want Kylie Minogue to be serving it to me for that, like, But
we're about 800 tickets shorter than we were in 2023 as well, and there's no reason being given. But we've got 31,939 tickets compared to 32,761 in 2023. Yet we've got the same part of the ground, And ticket prices are going from, I think it's £41 the bottom rate up to 150. So by now, if you are a season ticket holder and you've been to all those cup games, you should by now have your season ticket emailed. Well, it'll have been emailed to you, the email that you've got connected to your season ticket, and you will know which pot you're in. So it is estimated that pots 1, 2, and 3 will all get tickets. But then after that, it's a bit of a lottery. I've seen some people say they're in 4 or 5. Some people won't be able to apply for another 5 or 6 days. So
can I also comment on the train fares as well? Because that's an absolute joke. I mean, I'm going down on the Friday, and I'm lucky because my father-in-law's got a flat down there. My best mate lives down there, so I'm going to go and stay with my best mate. But the whole thing's just a joke. I mean, it's I was going to come back on the Monday, £350 or something for a ticket, and that was for standard. I'm coming home on the Tuesday now for about 40 quid or something, or 50 quid. I mean, it's just a farce. It's an absolute farce. How they get away with it, I don't understand. It's an absolute disgrace. They just make it up. They just, I was at 90,000. Okay, so they're just making it up. It's it just feels like daylight robbery. I don't know. Because they know they can.
It's one of those things. There's all kinds of things going on as well, which affect us. Engineering works, trains.
Why don't they do the obvious thing and put more trains on?
They may well do that later on, but it should be done now, shouldn't it? It should be done now.
Absolutely.
It should be done now. Okay, halfway through the show, we will have a quick ad break, and then we'll be delving into the music with Sid and Rob. A big thanks to all our sponsors. Skips and Bins. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. Find them at their website, skipsandbins.com. Contact them, www.skipsandbins.com/contact. A big thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. You can find them at their website, mrvickies.co.uk. Email info@mrvickies.co.uk or telephone 01768 210 102. A big thanks to our fanzine sponsor, United Group Travel. 2 crew, driver and courier, local family company, 3-star plus quality hotels and no interchanges. All excursions included. Find them at their website, www.unitedgrouptravel.com. Email them at beverly.ugtl@gmail.com. Telephone 01670 632 460 or mobile 0791 666 4174. Just £30 per person deposit. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. A big thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the technical side of things. You can find them at their website, media-arts.co.uk. If you want to listen to us as a podcast, you can go to Sports Social Podcast Network. You can also find us on iTunes, Spotify, and your other podcast providers. If you want to help support the channel, hit the thumb up, which is the like button. Click share to share to your other social medias. Click join to join the channel. And click the subscribe button. We've also got links in our description for buy us a coffee and to be a Patreon member. Some events coming up: an afternoon with Sir Les Ferdinand, 6th of April, 12 till 4. Tickets available from ticketmaster.co.uk. No Covers takes place at the Clooney, Lilac Lane, Ryder and the Chris Norris Band. Tickets from theclooney.com or by telephoning 0191 230 4474. An evening with Steve Howie and Steve Watson, hosted by Joe Allen, takes place at the Tyneside Irish Centre on the 27th of June. Tickets for that are from newcastlelegends.com. An evening with Peter Beardsley and Chris Waddle takes place at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House on the 23rd of January 2026. Box office 0844 246 1000 or website tynetheatreandoperahouse.tv. An evening with Bad Manners takes place on Friday the 30th of January 2026 and tickets available from ticketmaster.co.uk. And we have copies of The Entertainers 1992 to 1997, Kevin Keegan's Legacy, available from newcastlelegends.com. And it's good afternoon to Rob. How are you, mate?
I'm okay, yeah. I'm not too bad. How are you both?
Good to see you, Rob. Like the top?
Yeah, it's old retro one.
All good. And here's the album that Rob won't be reviewing today. King Size Dick. Yes. The least said about that, then the better, I think, Rob. But I'm glad you're not reviewing that. What are you reviewing today?
Today we're going to Stourbridge, 1989. It was a brilliant second album by the Wonder Stuff. Obviously, it went from Stourbridge, like I say. This is a follow-up to their debut, The Eight-Legged Groove Machine. Brilliant memories of this era for me in general, being at college and stuff. But if you like Pop Elite itself, Jesus Jones, that sort of thing, Wonder Stuff with the band you were into. Opens with 30 Years in the Bathroom. Very, very strong opener. Sort of like a radio getting dialed, tuned in, and the song just kicks in. It's that alt rock indie sort of, brilliant drumming again by the late Martin Giltz as well. Brilliant drummer. Then you got track 2's Radio Ass Kiss. To me, it's a continuation of the opener there. Malcolm Treese, the guitarist, his backing vocals are really, really good. He's still with the band currently. It's like an unusual sort of megaphone vocal effect on this song, but it's okay. It's good to sing along to. You got Golden Green. Avoid the video. It's very, very embarrassing. But anyway, it does show how creative they were with their depth as well. Really good bass lines. Rob the bass sings. Again, he's no longer with us, but it's quite an uplifting tune. It's like, again, it's a feel-good student sort of, student union sort of band, that sort of thing. You got Let's Be Other People. For me, it's one of the best songs on the album. Very strong. Love the wah-wah guitar effect on this. It's the classic stuff, these Wonder Stuff. Again, really, really pounding bass and drums carry this for me. It's solid. I really, really like this song. You got Piece of Sky. It's good. I like the video. A lot of people didn't like it, but it was like live clips of them in black and white, but played in slow motion at different venues over the UK. I really liked it. It's got quite an acoustic feel to it, mid-tempo. Again, Mark's backing vocals and his harmonies are brilliant. And again, he's still doing it to this day. Can't Shape Up is next. Brilliant again. It reminds me of a bit Echo and the Bunnymen, that sort of thing. I think Miles Hunt vocals, top form for me. I do like the lyrics on this one. There's a lot of humour in the Wonder Stuff. You got Don't Let Me Down Gently. Paul, if you're watching this, this will remind you of the worst hangover you ever had, and I just continuously played this cassette over and over again. Yeah, it's good. It's fast paced, but it's got like a country style. It's big, bright. You know, again, it's fun. It was a single as well. It's very well produced as well. You got Cartoon Boyfriend. I think this should have been a single. It could have opened the album. Again, it's really lovely fiddle at the start. Again, it's very similar video to this Piece of Sky. It's again, the drumming for me is really, really good. It was sort of before sort of like indie sort of really kicked off. I think Martin Gilk's drum style was a bit 5 years ahead of his time, I would say. Then you've got Good Night though, track 9, very, very punchy bass on this one. It's really fast. There's quite a lot of references on this to Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven. And I do know, I can't remember the name of the band. I think it was Loop. They'd done a cover called Hairway to Stephen. That was an alternative version of it. But this one, to me, Good Night though, is a bit of a filler. Then you've got Unfaithful. This is 2 minutes 40 of acoustic guitar and fiddle, just like a Fable love song. It's okay. It's not for me. Then you got track 11, then Big Oak Trees. This to me is going back into like the first part of the side A of the album. Could have been a single again. There's a lot of radio friendly songs on this, but it did remind me of Teardrop Explodes. Julian Cope's World, Shut Your Mouth, that sort of vibe, that sort of feel about it. The final song is Room 410, very dark, quite experimental. It's been layered about hundreds of times. Harmonies, it's a lot of harmonies on it, but it's that song again. We're going back to the end of the album. It's a bit tired. Overall, for what it is, song-wise, 7 out of 10 for Memories, 9.5. Also, if people aren't familiar, they've done that song, Dizzy. I have to say, it's with Vic and Bob. That was again a student song, and obviously you had Miles Hunt. I think it was 1995, something like that. He'd done the MTV 120-minute show. I did used to watch that. He was on it a few times, and he didn't last long on there. So. Yeah, it was a good album. I really enjoyed listening to it again, and I still do listen to it. So,
okay, great stuff. Yeah. I know you've got to nip off because you've got quite a busy day today, Rob. So appreciate you making the effort to go live. So we won't keep you. We will see you next week, mate. Look forward to seeing you then.
Yep. Thank you very much. Enjoy the show, everybody.
Take care. Look after yourself.
Bye-bye. Cheers now. Bye-bye.
Take care, mate. Thanks to Rob.
I saw the Wonder stuff in the 90s. I can't remember where, though. Maybe in the uni or somewhere, though. All right. Not bad, actually.
Okay. Where are you taking us?
Right. The Doors. So I'm going for the Doors. So
can I just say as well, Jeff asked a question earlier on. He said, bizarrely, he didn't even know what we're doing today. What is your favourite Doors album, Steve? This is my favourite Doors album, Jeff, believe it or not. And
there you go.
So there you go. This is my favourite Doors album. Go on, mate.
It's a great album. In fact, Jeff, I've just done a Doors show, so go and watch it. So yeah, with two of the guys, it was good crack. It was very funny. So basically, Waiting for the Sun came out in 1968. It was the third album. I absolutely love this album, I have to say. It starts off with Hello, I Love You, which is clearly inspired by the Kinks, All Day and All of the Night. There's no getting away from it. But it's a terrific song. Love Street's fantastic. It's about his relationship with Pamela Courson, Morrison's long-term girlfriend. Great song. It's quite languid. I love the keys on it as well. It's really lovely, laid-back feel. Next song, Not to Touch the Earth, is possibly my favourite Doors song. It's going to be part of a big, longer piece of music, but I absolutely love it. I don't know what it is. It's a bit proggy, it's a bit punk rock, it's a bit art rock. It's just something really brilliant. The lyrics also bizarrely refer to the shooting of Kennedy as well in parts. But it is brilliant. It's brilliant. There's no other word for it. It's an incredible song. We've then got Summer's Almost Gone, which has got like a swing groove. Again, another lovely song. I really like that. Quite bluesy as well. We've got a lovely texture. I love this slide on it. The great musicians as well. Robbie Krieger was a great guitar player, as obviously Manzarek, great piano keyboard player. Wintertime Love, Lush, Swings Again. I love the chorus. Unknown Soldier is magnificent. clearly links to the Vietnam War, and of all the songs that they did, this is probably the most poignant because there's different ways of interpreting the song, and it's entirely up to you. I'm not really here to tell you what it is. My interpretation is a song where they have the celebration of the end of war, but then they've still got this unknown soldier, and he's not really being remembered. So it's very, very poignant, and it must have been. It's very. In some ways, it's very punk rock in terms of attitude to come out during the middle of the Vietnam War, because a lot of people will have hated this, and a lot of people have loved it. I think it's a fabulous piece of music, very powerful. Then we've got Spanish Caravan, which has got a really different flavour. Robbie Krieger's sort of guitar, that's flamenco style guitar with a little bit of classical thrown in. Fantastic sound. And then we've got this sort of rock fuzz tone that goes onto it. It's just brilliant. Morrison's baritone is brilliant. The tempo shift is great. The psychedelic groove, what a song. My Wild Love, clearly influenced by the sort of old blues Cotton Field songs. It's just instrumental back with hand claps and that. It's brilliant, brilliant. We Could Be So Good Together is a good song, bit of a Moon of Alabama feel to it. Yes, The River Knows, I absolutely love. Vocally, you can hear how he's influenced Dave Garner with Depeche Mode. Yes, the song doesn't sound like Depeche Mode, but vocally you can hear it. And then 5 to 1 is a great song, and it's clearly influenced, in my viewpoint, by the old blues song, New Walking Blues. And you can hear do-doon, doon, doon. It's got the same rhythm to it, but the Doors were massively into blues, of course. As you can massively tell on the last two albums, or proper albums anyway, with Jim Morrison. So yeah, it's a 5-star album. It is a magnificent album. What I cannot understand is why the song Waiting for the Sun, which was written at the time, featured in an album two albums further on Morrison Hotel. I can't understand it. Why was it not on this album? Makes no sense. But yeah, what a great song. Great album. Top draw. So that's my album choice. And film, I've gone with A Few Dollars More. One of my favorite ever films. I absolutely love this. I'm just reading some of my notes here. Made in 1965, Spain, Italy, Germany. It's the return of the man with no name, although he's technically got a name of Joe in the first film. And then there's a big court case. So they didn't use it again in the second film. So he was just the man with no name. But Clint Eastwood, as brilliant as he is in this, and he is, I think the real star is the man in black, and that's Lee Van Cleef. And I'm not going to tell you the whole story. It's for you to go and watch it, but it's a brilliant film about two bounty hunters who then side together to capture a man called Indio, but played brilliantly by Gian Maria Volante, who's also in the first film, Fistful of Dollars. He's a great actor, actually was. It's a great story, quite harrowing at times. I think the soundtrack to this is just untouchable. I think of course, he did the film The Untouchables, pardon the pun there, but also the Ennio Morricone's sort of music is just incredible. The watch scene is beautiful. It's been used in an advert recently, but all three films are all brilliant, by the way. It's just incredible. As I say, they go out to try and capture this guy. There's obviously they shoot loads of people and all the rest of it. Great shootout at the end. You can see all the Tarantino references when you watch it, because there is humor to it. It's dark. It's beautiful. It's got a really sad element to it as well, but it's just brilliant. It's a sublime film. Possibly for me, the greatest trilogy. I think it possibly is the greatest trilogy. Certainly that or the Star Wars first proper trilogy. It's just brilliant. I love it. But then we've got, there are others as well. Fistful of Dynamite. If you've not seen it, worth going out to check that as well regarding the spaghetti westerns. That's a great film. But there we go. I just love that film. I think it's top draw. Great soundtrack and a great film. I mean, Leone was just brilliant. Going back there, The Doors, we've just done the show a couple of days ago, so I've edited it. It's actually very funny. Peter, one of the guys that gets quite irate at some of my comments. And he even texted us yesterday saying, you're wrong about such and such. So it's quite funny. It's
many good albums.
Yeah, some great albums. Can I just say, one of those albums on there, because we did the posthumous albums as well. One of the albums on there is the worst album I've ever heard, and I comment upon it as well, so it's worth checking
You'll
out.
have to text me that, mate. You'll have to text me that. I've got a feeling I know which one it was, but will you text us? Yeah, text us.
It's very funny. It's good crack. It's good fun. So it's just come out. So check it out.
Well, those of you watching will know that I'm obviously doing a challenge this year. I'm listening to an album a day. The remit is that it's got to be an album that I've never listened to all the way through in its entirety. I'm mixing it up with some new ones and mixing it up with some old ones and with other people's suggestions. Ray is somebody that has been on my on my list for a while to listen to. I like one or two of the songs that I've heard. Obviously, the commercial stuff that gets played, and seen a couple of documentaries with a really, really, really good artist. And this is called My 21st Century Blues. I loved it. You can take your pick from Black Mascara, The Thrill Is Gone, Escapism. It's not what you expect, this album. It's a story. It's her story, clearly. It's an album she really wanted to do. It's her second album, but it's worth more than one listen. I think you'll pick up something quite different on each listen, but definitely pleased that I picked that one up. I surprised myself. I thought I'd listen to this, but I hadn't. Amy Winehouse and Frank, obviously Back to Black. I think everybody's probably listened to that. It's one of those albums that most people have probably got in their collection. But yeah, it's a lot different to Back to Black. Love the song. What is it about men? There Is No Greater Love is another good little song. She was a really talented singer, Amy Winehouse. Gone too soon. I never met her. But I do have a friend who was very good friends with Amy, looked after her from a security perspective, and was there through some of the good times and some of the bad times. But he always speaks very highly. Yeah, I didn't know that.
We saw her in concert. Karen and I went to see her at the university. The band were unbelievably tight. And it was a super concert. It was a really, really good concert. She was absolutely, during the Back to Black album, it was a great gig. She was excellent.
Amazing.
But the band, possibly the tightest band I've seen.
Fantastic. I hated these, the Style Council, because of what Paul Weller did to the Jam. Obviously, I was only 10 when the Jam split up. Never got a chance to see the Jam live in that pomp. And when they split up in 82, the last thing I wanted to do was listen to Paul Weller pouncing about, pretending to be something he wasn't, which was my philosophy at the time. As I've grown older and wiser and listened to a lot more music and fell back in love with Paul Weller when Stanley Road came out, I listened to this, and of course, the Style Council were really good. Really
great
tight.
album.
This album is probably the best introduction you could get to them. Café Bleu, Mixed Blessing. And now I'm a big jazz fan, and I love the way that we've got a little bit of this jazz influence in this first album. This album, sorry, Mixed Blessing. My Ever Changing Mood, probably one of the better known tracks on here. I really like that, and of course, You're the Best Thing is on there. But well worth a listen. That if you haven't given that a listen.
Scott for Happiness is my favorite on it. It's just magnificent. Great album.
All right, moving on, and we go to this, which is Frank Ocean. One of my kids suggested I listen to Frank Ocean and the album Blonde. It's an interesting album. It needs more than one listen to understand and appreciate it, I think. The back end of the album is probably the best part for me. White Ferrari, Siegfried, Godspeed. I loved Be Yourself, and I liked Facebook Story. I'm not going to spoil it. Listen to it. Again, it's something fairly modern, but give it a listen. You've got to listen to new music as well as old music, and sometimes something that the young'uns push forward in your direction isn't as bad as you're going to think it is. So there is some good stuff out there that's been done by modern artists. Going back in time, never heard of this person. I didn't know what to expect with this.
Lido.
Boz Scaggs and Silk Degrees. Well, of course, I'd heard Lido Lido Shuffle. Once I heard that on this album, I knew exactly what that was. Like Georgia on here, and What Can I Say? But Boz Scaggs and Silk Degrees. Another one that was worth listening to. I've also listened to this week. Again, a Queen album that I'd never listened to this, Sid. Sheer Heart Attack, Killer Queen's on there. But now I'm here, and In the Lap of the Gods were my favourites. A Sign of Things to Come is what I noted down for this. from Freddie and the lads.
Can I just see it? There's my signed copy.
There you go. It's
There
really
we go.
good, Sid. Really good. I've kept the best to last. For me, the album that really I enjoyed this week was this one. And I'd listened to the first album. I was completely unaware that Tony Bennett and Lady Gaga had done an album of Cole Porter songs called "Love for
Yeah.
Sale," and I knew nothing about it. Best tracks on here. The whole thing stands out for me. But Night and Day, I'll get a kick out of you. And let's do it. If you like a bit of swing, if you like a bit of, you like a little bit of that kind of thing. Honestly, get yourself onto that album. It's an absolute belter. But that's it for the music section this week. I think we've covered quite a bit. Wide range, yeah. Before we look ahead to the game against Man City at the weekend, I do just want to, because it's the first live show since he's passing, just want to pay a tribute to this man. Hallelujah, John Tudor said. Sad to hear. I mean, that's, we've lost Alan Shoulder, Gordon Marshall, and John Tudor all within 7-8 days. It's been quite a bad time for Newcastle. But this guy, Malcolm McDonald's strike partner, somebody
good
who
ratio as well. I was looking at his record, 1-3, very good, very good goal ratio. That's pretty impressive. I mean, obviously Supermac was 1-2 or 1-2, slightly less than, but 1-3, yeah, that's an impressive forward lineup. That's an impressive forward lineup.
Was he just before your time, Sid?
Yeah, just before my time. I mean, obviously, I watched. Remember, the first game I watched was the '74 Cup final, unfortunately. but before the days of me going, yeah. So yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, our thoughts as always with the family on such sad news. So Newcastle United are back in Premier League action, and that is this weekend. And it's a huge game, Manchester City away, following our Carabao Cup and FA Cup ties. It's a kick-off 3:00 on Saturday, not televised, of course. 3,000 away tickets are sold out. Eddie Howe's side go in search of a club record equalling 5th successive Premier League away win, though they'll need to win for the first time at this ground in that competition in order to achieve it. This will be Newcastle United's 20th attempt at doing that. So far, we've taken just 2 points from a possible 57 points at this venue. The last Magpie to score a Premier League goal at the Etihad was DeAndre Yedlin back in September 2018.
Really?
510 minutes ago.
Wow.
8.5 hours since we had a Premier League goal there. In all competitions, Newcastle have won 6 successive matches away from St James's Park going into this game. Their best run of form since managing 7 in a row on the road back in 1994. It's a bit early for team news, but we do know that Jamal Lascelles remains out. Fitness of Harvey Barnes, Joe Linton, Sven Botman and Dan Burn and Anthony Gordon is yet to be established. Eddie will give us a bit more news on Friday. Man City, well, Rodri remains out. There are doubts over Nathan Ake, Jeremy Doku and Edison. Manchester City will be in the Champions League playoff game against Real Madrid before our visit. They take on the Spaniards tonight before heading to the Bernabeu on Wednesday week. The referee has been announced. Thank you, Tom. Andy Madeley, a 3rd Premier League game involving Newcastle so far this season after the 3-3 home draw with Liverpool and the 2-1 win at Spurs. And VAR, well, it's John Brooks again, a 2nd VAR shift this month for the game, featuring Newcastle following the Carabao Cup home win over Arsenal when Alexander Isak's opener was ruled out due to that marginal offside call that we were talking about earlier. So, is this the time that we go to Man City and get a result, Sid?
We'll get a result. It just depends on what result we'll get. It depends on whether we have a defence. Ironically, with Sal Kelly, we haven't got a centre half, left side centre half, and we've loaned out the young lad Alex Murphy, who scored apparently the other day. I think it all comes down to that, as far as I'm concerned, because I mean, obviously Haaland's a handful. But Man City have got a little bit of form coming back in again, but they're not the team, are they? They're not the team they were certainly 2 years ago when they did the treble. I mean, that's probably the best team I've seen in the Premier League. They've suddenly just dropped off a cliff in terms of some of the performances of some of the players. And our record's really good. We've won 17 out of 28 games away from home, which is really some going, and including three or four draws. So we've got a really good away record. Really, really good. I don't know. I really don't know how to call this one. It's a tough one. It's a really tough one. I suspect we may just edge it, actually. But it does depend on the defence. It depends on whether we've got a left-sided centre half or not. Haaland's obviously a handful in terms of pace. If he's over the back, he's going to out sprint or centre halves, whoever we've got, because none of them are quick. So we might just have to sit further back and hit them on the break. Let's be honest, we've got 5 of the quickest players in the Premier League. I mean, we've got Tonali, we've got Isak, we've got Gordon, we've got Murphy, we've got Osula. All of them are whip it fast. I mean, I wouldn't like to say who was the quickest. I'm not sure which one of them is the quickest. I'm not sure. I don't know who would win in a race, but they're all lightning. So we've got a real, and that's not including Joe Willock, by the way, who looks like who seems to run as fast with the ball as he does without it. I mean, I would definitely throw him in there as well in terms of pace. So we've got some proper speed merchants in the team, which is brilliant. So we could hit them on the break. We will definitely score. I have no doubt we will definitely. I can't believe the DeAndre Edlin start. It's incredible. I'm quite flummoxed by that. I think we'll score. I think we'll score a couple. It's whether a couple's enough to win. I'm going to say we'll win by 3-2. I'm going to go 3-2.
3-2. Okay, good stuff. I'm quite confident about this. I'll reserve my judgment until later in the week when I work with Gibbo on the podcast for my prediction, as I often do. But Sid, thank you for taking the time to come on. Another good show. Thank you to Rob, and thank you to everybody for watching. Good to do one live. 400 plus watching today. If you are watching on Twitter, jump onto YouTube, search on UFC Matters, and hit the subscribe button. Until next week with you, Sid, take care.
Take care, folks. Bye-bye.